I lost my dad March 23rd, 2021 to COVID-19. He was an amazing man, as most kids would say about their fathers, but Reggie Davis was something special. He was my dad, of course, my pastor, my counselor. He was my biggest hype man, biggest cheerleader, and no matter what I did. So to lose him was like losing multiple people, multiple roles. He wore so many hats in my life, and when I lost him, it definitely left a void in my life. So, yeah. One thing about grief, it doesn't play by any rules. Grief doesn't consider your feelings, it just happens. 1 minute you can be angry, the next minute you can be depressed and sad. The next minute you can be driving yourself crazy thinking about what you could have did, what you should have said. And, depression, denial, anger, all those things that come with the 5 stages of grief. It shows no favoritism. It shows no bias. It's going to touch every last one of us at some point. So this is just a documentation of who my dad was to me, how much he meant to me, and how much that loss impacted me, and how I went about healing and walking through those 5 stages of grief. So hopefully it's something helpful. Hopefully I can say something that can encourage those listening and watching. And so, hey.
Yeah, I mean, I can even think about when you and Corey was born. He was just that kind of. I mean, when he had a job, he always thought about me. He would bring me pajamas, whatever he saw that he thought I would like. He would bring it to me, and I was always happy and glad about it. And then when you guys were born, he Cause he did everything big and grand. That's just how he was. So he went to the store and came to our house with a big grocery bag full of glass bottles. He had no milk. I don't remember the milk, but he had the bottles. I think he bought up all the bottles in the store because he came there with a whole bag of baby glass bottles and tops and nipples. He could have had milk, but I can't remember. But that's just who he was. And then he been taking care of us from day one all the way up until now.
Everything changes, what's important versus what's not. And writing those things down, journaling your emotions, journaling your thoughts and feelings allows you to have an outlet so that you don't have an outburst, or, say anything out of the way to people you love, just out of hurt and pain. You don't want that to happen. So writing those things down, writing that journal is paramount for me. So helpful. And that's one thing that I did to cope with the grief.
So we're standing out there in front of my house in the street talking, and he said, TR, he always called me TR. He said, man, I'm gonna be the police. I said, bro, I think you can, because I've only been on a couple of years. And so we fast forward, and your dad would come do ride-alongs with me. And your dad, he rode with me so much and so often, my sergeant just put him on the roll call. And when he didn't show up, he's like, hey man, where's Reggie? Sergeant, he ain't making tonight. He's like, what? Reggie had become part of the squad. Everybody knew him. And so we'd ride, I'd come, y'all was living out over on Basswood. I'd come by and pick him up, and we rolling. And I would think, hey, you ain't gonna be mad with you doing all these ride-alongs? I mean, she home, the boy's home. He said, man, we good. Okay. And but I don't think his mom mind.
Right.
And so we rode, and I remember we'd be, patrolling. We'd go through Brentwood, and your dad see a car. He said, that guy ain't got no license. I said, how you know? He said, I'm telling you, man, he ain't got no license. I said, man, how you know he ain't got no license? He said, man, look at that car, look at that tag. He ain't got no license. And so I said, well, man, we gotta have a reason to pull him over. He said, man, look at that tag, it's expired. He ain't got no license, or something like that. And so we'd stop the car. He said, man, he ain't got no license, I'm telling you. Sure enough, the guy had no license. And he just had those instincts. He just, he was the real police. Before he became the police, he was the real police.
To cope with grief was, I started meditating. Just wake up around 5, 6. I'm normally already up, so before the family gets up, I'm able to sit quietly for however long I can do it. It started out a few minutes. Now I'm up to like 20, 30 minutes. I sit silently, look inside of myself, see, just deal with any emotions I may be feeling. Just deal with any thoughts or anything that's on my heart, and don't run from it. And I just sit with it and process it.
Reggie was a police.
Tactician.
Period. Yeah, he did it like breathing. One major thing, I even use it now in ministry. I never forget it. He got a call. Guy had just been shot. We was the first ones to show up on the scene. And I'll never forget Reggie telling me, he said, Mr. Cherry, come here. The guy was in the street and he's gasping. Little young fella. Mm-hmm. Somebody shot him in the back of his head with a little 25 caliber. Eyes rolling, back of his head swelling. Never forget what Reggie said. He said, come here. And he had me to stand over the guy. He said, look at his watch. Out of all the stuff that he could say, he said, look at his watch. And I looked at his watch. He said, you see how time's still ticking? But his is winding up. Reggie wrapped off this thing. He roped it off. He done called people and everything. Now, ain't nobody there but me and him. The next thing you know, the whole neighborhood is out there. It's crowded. By the time the head guy got there, Reggie knew the shooter, knew what he was driving, and everything. Before we left that spot, they hadn't caught the shooter because of Reggie. That's what I mean. That ain't something that you learn in the academy. No, that's a gift. Yeah. So we used to ride together. Look here, ride together, go to a restaurant, and sometimes eat at the same place with our hand. Yeah, cause we were just friends.
I just want to be half the dad that my dad was to me, to my own children. And when I leave, I want them to say, hey, Dad was here. Like, he was a good guy. And I want them to feel about me how I feel about my dad. So that's my hope, After all the stages of grief and after acceptance, and that sixth element is hope. And that's where we have to live. And hope is found in the present. Looking back at the past, things we can't change. Looking ahead to the future, at things that aren't even real yet. Can hurt us, can make us feel these stages of grief needlessly, when we don't need to feel them. So stay present. Stay in the moment. Be grateful for where you're at. Be grateful for what you have now. And when you live a life of gratitude, it helps, So, I guess that's it.